Hey guys, I'm just going to ramble on here because, yeah, happy Wednesday. But has anyone seen an ad on my channel at all in my live stream? Um, if anyone sees one, let me know because I'm not thinking they're coming. I'm not sure what's happening there. Anyway, Peter, g'day. Stuart, hello. Mark, hello. Dan Shed, g'day. Blue Wrench in the house. Mark Osborne. Tea and Biscuits, g'day. Um, Yeah, I'm going to have to get onto that. I don't know why that stopped. It's a bit strange. It seems to have got demonetized at some point, and it's because I was messing around in the settings. Anyway, the Outback Shed. G'day. Good morning. Or good afternoon, or good evening, or whatever it is. What's happened? Oh gosh, I'm stuffed and I'm not real well. I've decided. Come home after the weekend and have a sleep, and that's all I did all weekend was sleep. So I don't know. Don't know what the story is there. But anyway, had a weekend at Dan's. Pretty big weekend. We got a lot done. Got a lot of stuff that was laying around after the shed was built. Now the shed's finally finished. Put the last half a dozen sheets of tin on the top of one of the doors. Get the lock up and finished. And shifted a lot of stuff that was laying around, scrap metal and stuff. Tidied it all up. All that sort of stuff. Turned back up here on Monday morning and did some shopping. Not some very exciting shopping, but did some shopping. Check out Outback Shed and his big video this weekend. But he's got plenty to watch in the meantime. It's a good channel. You should check him out. Anyone else is in this chat that makes videos? Team Biscuit's got some good videos. Mark's the Shed Talk got some really good videos. Go and spend some time watching their videos because mine are crap. Anyway, I'm not sure I've done any work, to be honest. So there's that hook, Dan, just while we're here. Got one of them. Don't know what you call this. They're not very expensive, but got one of them. And a couple of D shackles for you. So that's one of the jobs for the shed. What else do we do as far as shopping goes? Couple of inners for pulley blocks. Had some pulley blocks. They're sort of like that, only a bit more modern. That one over there. Have a look at that one. That's pretty ancient. It's not a bad block, but it needs new brasses in them. And they're not self-aligning, so it's a bit more mess than to set them up nice. So we've got a little 32 volt generator, and it's got to run pretty quick, and it's way overpowered. So we thought we could put a jack shaft in it and speed it down 2 to 1 or something. Not quite 2 to 1, something like that. Because it's a good little generator unit, and it will run most of the 32 volts lights in the shed, and it's a good fun thing to have and a good way to give the steam engine a run. But it's got to go flat out, and it requires very little of the available power to run it. So what we've done is put a jack shaft on it, and we had a couple of those blocks with the wrong size shaft in them, so I bought a couple of these. You can just buy the inners for these, so the right size shaft. You've still got to find a pulley and a shaft, and Christian's doing the rest of the work, so that's another job we're on to. New rotor broach cutter, nice. Yeah, won't be doing any lifting with it much. Nice, different, new rotor broach cutter, 38mm I think. So, want to put a, where did that go? I don't know. I had a socket, a pipe socket anyway. Want to put a pipe socket and a pipe bung, threaded plug in the bottom of the smoke box on the roller, so that we can hose it out and it doesn't stay full of water, and so that all the crap flushes and can be swept out the bottom rather than having to sort of like scoop it out with your hands and try and get it out that way, because it's a bit of a captive sort of a situation. I think all steam engines should have a inch pipe plug in the bottom of the smoke box, because then you can just hose them through with the plug out and everything washes out. Big fan of that. So that's the next job on the roller, is to fix that. Got all the pump in place and everything works nice. Yeah, there's one more thing to forget to put in when you get steam up. Broken pin. Yeah, got this with me. How awesome is this? Yeah, it's draft. Sorry, I think it could be draft, but anyway, it's one of them. This is the pin out of the headstock on the roller. It goes across. It's technically called a lynch pin. We've got the drawing here if you want to look. I don't know if we do. It's a big drawing. It's not supposed to have this delightful bend in it. It's supposed to be straight, and it's got a bigger end on one end and a hole across it for a pin in the other end. And that's what holds it all together. However, this one's not much good, so you've got to make a new one of them at some point, probably before a road run, if there's one happening in the middle of the, they're things that have got to go back together before that happens. So we're going to put that back together and the steering wheel back together, and we'll put up with it for a little bit, and at some point we'll fix them. From the list of things, we're going to fix it at some point. So, got to mess around and make one of them. Don't think this is worth fixing, because we cut this off with a grinder to get it out. That's the pin that once held it together, yeah. So that's what's sort of happening. What else did we do? Yeah, all the pumps back on, all works nice. It actually pumps water, recirculates water, it doesn't leak too much. There was one leak, but we sorted that. Reset the safeties, which is a bit of a pain in the ass actually. I'm not really impressed with that. I don't think it's a bad thing to have lower safety valve pressure, because they were a bit high, but I don't feel like it's a good thing to have a bit of paper that says that that's the absolute maximum. I think that's a bit of a downgrade on the investment. But anyway, you get that with boiler inspectors, and in particular with crappy boiler inspectors, like the guy who inspected it last time, who stuffed up the certificate so that there was an element of doubt in it about what it was. So get yourself a decent inspector. Don't mess around with crappy inspectors. I think that's the take from that at this point. Very unimpressed that that happened. And it's dropped to 20 psi, which is nothing. And it makes it quite a manageable machine at 180, but boiler pressure is 200 and like working pressure was 200 on all the plates. But whoever did the last certificate was a bit ordinary, and I see that in other engines that he's probably overseeing too, that there's, yeah, do things safely and the best of your ability, not half-assed. I think that's the take from that. It doesn't make a lot of difference 180, because very rarely you get it to 200 anyway. I mean, 200 is not a working pressure; it's a absolute maximum in the boiler pressure. 200's pretty responsive on the throttle and pretty jumpy in the front end, etc, etc, etc. It's probably better for the roller to have it a bit lower. Don't have an issue with that. What I have an issue with is not having a certificate for 200. So anyway, being a compound is probably better off at 200. But it doesn't get to 200 much anyway, so it's not really the end of the world. And the safety valves being set a bit lower are quite a little bit more gentle than they are at 200 because of spring pressures and things. At 200, when they go off, they really let you know they go off. Like they hit you pretty hard. You don't want to be standing close to it. They get you by surprise. It'll give you a heart attack. Whereas at 180, it sort of feathers a bit, and it's a little bit gentler thing all round. It's not a bad thing. Yeah, I still like the bit of paper that says 200 is a working pressure. So, don't know what you do about that except get, yeah. Don't know if there's much you can do about that. It's only a stupid typo on a crappy certificate that was half-assed, really. Whoever did that, I know who did it, so that's the way it is. There's still an element of dodgy crap in this hobby. So anyway, we got that sorted. Did a accumulation test too, just to make sure that with a big fire in it, it didn't sort of climb with the safety valves open, which I didn't think it was going to fail, but it's good to know that when the valve's open, it's going to get rid of all the steam that it needs to get rid of without the thing climbing up too much further. So got all that sorted. Trouble is with the whole 2 yearly tickets and the dodgy boiler inspectors is the bottom line with a lot of people, and particularly with clubs and things. It really is the bottom line. So you've got to deal with that. And with me, it's the bottom line too. But get what you get. So all good, all done, all ready to go. Except there's no pin in the front end because that's sitting here on the bench. The basket's off at the moment, which makes it a bit difficult for road running. It might go on it or it might not. We'll see how that looks. I want to get some paint on it first. What else is missing? The steering gear is off it at the moment too. I've got all the bits to put it back on. It's not a big deal to put it back on, but it is off it. So they're all things that need to be done in the next few weeks. Come home yesterday. What did I do yesterday? A little bit of housework, vacuumed my room and stuff like that. All that good stuff that needs to be done. Did a live stream last night, which was quite good, I think, maybe. On Onshape, which is a CAD program, online CAD program. If you're interested in learning Onshape, which is sort of a comprehensive, pretty big boy sort of a CAD program nowadays, check out my live stream once a week on Tuesday night. Happy to spend an hour sort of running through the basics enough times that people get the hang of it and have a go at trying it. Anyway, so I did that. Few little jobs on the truck. Nothing serious. We got a few jobs done. We've got, let's have a look. We've got chrome hubcaps, which is pretty cool. Steering's all in place. Chrome hubcaps. What else did I do? Haven't got a coat of gloss on this fuel tank yet, but we've got fuel gauge, or place for a fuel gauge and socket for it. If we have a close look under there, we've also got a sediment trap. Put a sediment trap in. There's a hubcap on this side too, in Foden pattern. And we're still thinking about this back ones, but we've got steel brass axle here with screws in each side, so that's a decent job. And metal axles in this. Steering, if we have a look, I don't know if you can see that. We could probably get some light down there. You can see that now. Steering levers all work on the gear on the steering box and all that, so pretty happy with that. We've got gear lever in place here, and we've had the handbrake in place for a little while and under the seat there. This steering wheel's wobbly, right? It's in there. I'm going to think of a way of actually fastening it in, but it's still got to have a decal and a glass in the top here where the speedo goes. And there's some gauges on here too, and so forth. There's all lots of little bits to go on this. The fuel tank's usually held on with bands. Yeah, you can see the bands around that. I'm probably going to just glue it in place and that'll do. Morning, James. So, what else did I do? Might look nice if they're black, might look nice if they're chrome. I don't think that's going to happen. What they're probably going to be is red with a black band round underneath them, so a stripe each side, something like that, I think. If we lift this off, which isn't in place yet, we can see the bottom half of the steering box, which is supposed to actually be attached to this. It's all one piece, but we've made it a separation line so that we can get the cab off at this point. We've got steering levers such as they are. They're sort of rudimentary, but nothing touches and everything works. We've got radiator pipes top. Going to lift this off because it's only just sitting here. Bottom radiator pipe on there too. We've got exhaust pipe system, got that in place. So that's sorted. What else? I've printed a couple of copies of the tail shaft. It's not in there yet. Still got brakes and handbrake and hydraulic brakes, clutch levers and gear levers to go in. But anyway. Yeah, injector pipe. Someone got bit by the injector pipe. It's not terrible, but it got bit. So yeah, the steering wheel's a lie actually. It lines up, and when it's on place, you can't tell it's a lie, but it is a lie. So this is just in here loose at the moment, which is not good. Like, it just lifts out. It's on a spigot. But this needs some work, as does all of it. Bit of messing around to get all this proportioned right. Seats and gear lever and everything in place so that when the door opens you can actually get your legs past the end of the seat and get your knees under the steering wheel and so forth and so on. And a lot of these bits are printed twice. We've still got to put that hinge cabinet, this hinge piece on the side there. I think we're going to do that still. I'd like some floor mats of some sort, or at least a different texture on the floor. I'd like probably air brake unit there on that little shelf beside the steering wheel, and some gauges on top there, and on top of the dash, on top of the radiator cowling, and a speedo in there. Did they have carpet floor mats? Some of them actually had a floor. It's not a bad effort. I don't think there's a lot of carpet happening. Might have been a lot nicer with carpet. You see a lot of them with a rug over this centre bonnet. Keep some of the noise out. Some of them had a padded space blanket to keep some of the heat out, sort of thing. But vinyl, if you're lucky, probably. More likely, you had a bit of plywood that was sat in there that was sort of painted black so it didn't get buddy, and you could lift it out and sweep under it and stuff. I don't think it was particularly good. A sheet of rubber would have been probably very nice. I like very much, and I've seen a tutorial on how to put like a blanket on here. I'd like a blanket on the driver's seat just to take some of the bit more comfort. But yeah, that's all things that are happening. There's still levers to go on here, and I get them done. I'll move forward to the cab, but the chassis starting to look pretty complete, really. Starting to look good. Needs some pipes and wires and shafts and brackets and rods and things in it, but nothing serious. And then we can move on to the front of the cab, which I'm having trouble printing. I've printed about 5 times and come up with one that's sort of half good, but it's not ideal and it needs some modification. So I think I can print another one that's going to work. That's where we're at. I think I've got the settings right to do that. And put the front on the cab. We can start messing around with the front and the doors and the sides and the hinges and stuff. Get the doors all working and a roof on it. And all the cab interior finished and painted. We can mask up the inside and we can start painting and rubbing back and so forth the outside when there's... That sounds like fun, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. There's a bit of work in this. Anyway, it's coming together. That's the little Foden. This is if anyone's interested. It's probably also people watching. Anyway, if anyone's interested, this is an S18 Foden with a flat front. Hey Randy. And it's probably a FG model, something like that. or it's not actually an FG. Yes, it is an FG there with the Gardner engine. So yeah, and it's a short wheelbase tractor. So we'll see. There's a little bit of weathering happened on the wheels and stuff like that, so they're all starting to look something like they should. Don't think they want to be shiny black. Whether we put actual headlights in the front here and batteries in the battery box and stuff, I don't know. That's all a bit sort of sort of subjective. Can you imagine this thing with fuzzy head? I mean, it's a Gardner, so it runs reasonably smooth, I guess. But anyone who's sat in a 1950s English truck knows that when it's idling, the mirrors all go like this. You've got to put your foot down a little bit in neutral or with the clutch in to actually be able to see anything in the mirrors and to be able to stop the vibration in the gear lever. Twin overhead foxtails, yeah. Didn't put a foxtail on it. I think that's probably a bit superfluous. We've just got a hot dog pipe there. Basic silencer, and it's got a 90-degree pipe out the back there. So there we go. Anyway, that's sort of the update on the truck. That's what's happening with that. It's these two brackets here, one each side. They still need sanding up a bit, but that's the cab mounts brackets there. They've got a rubber mount between them. There will be a cover over this, and whether it hinges up, whether I work out a way to hinge it up, I'm not sure. These guards and everything are looking pretty good. They could do with a bit more of a rub back. But this cab fits nicely between here and between the angles on the front of the radiator there, which fit in here. So this slides down nice. But it's not going to be something that lifts on and off once we get the front on it, because this curves in under and you can't actually put this front on it, I don't believe. Like, you can't put the front on it with the... You can't put the cab on with the front on it, because this comes down and curves back past the springs. There we go. We got a fancy roof that's got no flat surfaces in it at all. Going to be fun to print. Front's fun, and these are doors are fun. The side panels and then the doors. Anyway, so at some point that's going to be a complete Foden prime mover. Don't know when. But there's a lot of little bits we put on it that are starting to look like a truck. But there's still a lot of work in it. We're crazy. Anyway, that's that. What else are they going to say? I got some stuff in the Temu which I'm sort of not... The trouble is you don't know what you're buying. That's the problem, because there's no real enthusiastic sort of parts labelling or numbering or any system that is just retailers who are selling stuff that they find. A couple of little boring bars, carbide boring bars, which should be really good. They're always useful. Bigger one, the smaller one. Always use them. Bunch of insert screws, which are too small for any of my inserts. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Probably keep them until I find a smaller insert, or put them away somewhere, or borrow, swap them with someone. that happened. A couple of sets of circuit board drills, or a set of circuit board drills, which isn't really a set of circuit board drills. This is a bit of a stupid system. They're all color coded, right? And you would think that they're all different sizes, but nah, they're not. If you have a look. How do I even open them? There we go. If we have a look at this set of drills, right? Firstly, some of them actually have points on, right? That's an excellent thing, really. We've got this magnifying glass here. We'll have a closer look at them. Right. Here we go. Look at this. How cool is this? This should make everyone seasick. Don't think it's helping. We'll zoom in. Right. This one on the end, probably got a point on it. Might actually cut. This one here. Yeah, not feeling very sure about that one on that one. That one there, I'm not real good at. That one's not much. That one's not much. That one's sort of okay, probably. That one might be okay. Neither of them are any good. And so forth and so on. So these are pretty cheap. And there might be a couple of decent drills in them. And they might, as the name suggests, actually be carbide. However, if we have a look here, we've got three that size, the grey one and the white one and orange one. Then we've got two that size, which is orange and red and blue one. And then we've got two that size, which is green and two that size and a broken one. So that's what we got. Not that impressed with them at all. This one's probably similar. I'll open these. I have bought these and they've been pretty good in the past. Also, you've got two that size. They might actually be drills. They've got some funny profiles on them with those little dots showing. Looks like probably three that size, two that size, and three that size, something like that. There might be one drill amongst the whole lot in that packet there that actually cuts. There might not too. So not that impressed with them, as buyer beware. But they were cheap and they might sharpen a bit. I've got a mate with a bit of sharpening gear. We might get a decent edge on them or we might not. Depending on all sorts of things. So that's where we're at. Made no progress at all on anything on the launch. None at all. We did drill the 4 holes for the back belt guard. They're not the right size even. It was pretty ordinary half-assed sort of attempt, to be honest. I had 4 brass screws to put in them. Holes are too small. So I didn't even get that far. But might drill them out, and I haven't decided whether to actually mill the piece out or whether to take this frame off the front. If we move over here. See, this actually hasn't had a clean up. It's done a fair bit of work here. I haven't even trammed this up. I've left it round, so I do have to tram it at some point. So whether I take this frame off here and paint it and cut the piece out of there so that the frame fits, which is probably the nice way to do it, or whether I just machine the bottom out of the frame I hope it fits over the top, and drill 2 extra holes in that frame there and put it in, because I don't imagine it's going to fit anywhere else at any point. Not sure. Still, jury's still open. I probably would like to take this overhead drive frame out and give it a service. It needs some work, right? It needs some love. These here need some decent oiling system in them. I don't know what to do about that or how to make that work. I sort of feel like they probably want a spring seal in one side to hold the grease in them and packing and something like that to be any good. All they are is plain rollers on the shaft, and they're very difficult to oil on the inside. You just put an oil hole in them, and if you look carefully, there already is, where is it? There's a screw there, which you can take out and put oil in it. But if you fill it up with oil, the centrifugal force blows it out rather than forces it in. So whether you put a Zerk or something in that, or whether you put a spring-loaded oiler in there, probably a spring-loaded oiler would be a smart idea. If you get one that thread, or an insert oiler, I don't know. But that needs attention. This pulley here comes loose every time you use it, because it's only got a grub screw in it, because when I got it going I have no provision at all to put a keyway in it. I'd like to get this shaft out, put a 1/4 inch keyway in it, and put a keyway in this and fit them together so you've got something decent. I'd like to make a spanner, because these have got these grub screws with square holes in them. I'd like to make an actual 1/4 inch drive wrench to tighten them up. And I've got a feeling that I'd probably like to tickle these bearings up a bit too. So there's a lot of work I could do on there if I pulled this frame off, or at least pulled this off and cleaned it up. And if I did that, it's a work of a moment to run down there with the grinder and across there and cut that piece out and grind it up and give it a coat of paint, and no one would ever know it wasn't supposed to be like it, because it only needs, what, 15 mil out of it. I'm trying to talk myself into this as much as I'm trying to talk myself out of it. I don't know what to do. This tin back here is sort of ordinary. I'm not a big fan, and I'd very much like to have a tin shroud or a cover off here over the top here. Probably solid enough to put a light up the front. So they're things. The trouble is I haven't got time. Like, I really haven't got time to pull it down. But I'd like to get this somewhere up and to a clean slate before we start messing with control rods and actual, like, a pedal system to put in and out of gear, which is next. So anyway, don't know. But if I did that, where do you stop? You pull all that off and you pull this, pull the lathe off and the drip tray, and get out there with a sander and sand that bench top right back and put a coat of varnish on it, and bolt it all back up again, get it all going again. It's very nice. And then you've got to actually put some spot, while you were doing it, you would put some brackets in there so that we can put actual piece down the front, in front of the motor, for pedal support and control rod guides and things, and a box here where this toolbox is, proper fold out tools. Thanks, Raymond, appreciate it. I think so. They're all, yeah, I've sort of been CADing it up as I go. The trouble is, if I CAD stuff up, I end up making it. That's where we're at. This is the pattern, sort of, for the mould, and that gives you some idea. It doesn't quite go like that, but see that overlaps there? It's not much, but if you cut that out it wouldn't. And that looks like that. And then I don't think this will actually fit the pattern because of shrinkage and stuff. But yeah, that goes on there like that, and we want to put a wire edge around it. And launch badge goes on the front. It all gets nicely filled in and finished and sanded and stuff, and a coat of green paint on it to match this with shiny exposed bits. And we've got something pretty nice. So that's where we're at. I've got an aluminium one of them cast. I just haven't as yet decided. Don't know what's happening. So that's the only real lathe project that I've been working on. As far as that goes, it's about the only thing here, that modification to the lathe, that I've actually done anything to. I could spend the time fixing the roller. I'm over the roller. Anyone want to buy a roller? No, it's not like that. It's just sometimes it's nice to have a project to come and have a break on. And I really like messing with this and making bits for it. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. There will be people watching this stream who have seen the thumbnail pic for it and wondered. Not calling anyone out, but I know there will be people watching who are wondering about the profile pic, the thumbnail pic for this video. It's clickbait. That's all. Got off the net somewhere. It's random. Total clickbait. You can. Yeah, I'm only pulling your leg. It's April. Stuff like that. Anyway. The picture is of a John Fowler & Co. 4-wheel water cart. If anyone's lasted this long with the curiosity that brought them to the stream because of the thumbnail. It is a John Fowler & Co. water tank, 400 gallon. No, is the answer, Stuart. No, nothing's happened. I've got a shitload happened, but I've got, let me say that in the nicest possible way, there's a lot happening. Next week I've got to go to the foundry. Jobs to do. I've got to get some stuff finalised for people and for myself. So CAD projects and things will mostly be, and printing projects will mostly be foundry work. Stuff I need to do. A lot of little bits, but stuff that needs to be cast, if that's possible, on Tuesday. Anyway, it's all happening. That water cart is fairly easily recognisable as being probably the only one of them in the world, and as such, I'm not saying too much about it at this point. Anyway, that's what that is. So I've talked enough about launch projects because there's 1,000 of them, right? You've got no idea how many planned projects there are with this particular machine. Things I could do, things I can make, things I've drawn up and I've never ever got to making. I have got decent universal design now for this. Right? I think it's very good. There's one here. We'll have a look at this. Right, it's black, so try not to print things black because they're difficult to see on stream. But this is a ball section 3D printed universal joint that they use for RC cars. It's blown up a bit. This is very strong, like seriously strong. I'm not sure this is the final itineration because I think it needs to be a bit bigger, a bit smaller than this. But to give you some idea, if I do this up in the vise, right, I can't pop that with my hand. Oh! So, really strong design, really good design. It's got a captive ball on one end and then the other one just clips over the top of it with two concave surfaces. Really good design, I think. So, it wants to be a little bit smaller than that. I'm going to put one on each end and I think that'd be very nice. This abomination here needs to change though. So that's the final drive for this, right? Basically that fits like that somehow with some sort of retainer on the pin. And this isn't long enough, which is most of the problem. If you skin it round straight it is, but you need a longer one of these as well. There's a short one, I think, and to be able to make them at a reasonable price in 2 or 3 sizes. Because I'd like one, if I had something, a shaft 400 long, I'd like to be able to put a thread down this end too. So I'd like a longer one again. And at this point, I think I'm looking for a 6-sided spline, something like that. Or even a 4-sided spline, like a proper spline. Or 5 or 7 or 8 or whatever side spline. And a nut or a bush, a brass bush to run along it, or a steel bush to run along it. And then I can just use a piece of tube. And we can organise these, make them work on each end. And we can do something a bit better with this. So these are all things going around in my mind about this particular job. We'll wind this back so we don't hit the chuck. And push this along like so. Then this fits nicely, see? And that works pretty sweet. We put this in gear, all works. And there's not a lot of force on this, so I sort of like that. There's also a plastic key in this gearbox, so if something does catch or get broken, that's what's going to snap, hopefully. And that's an easy job to replace that one. This is supposed to have, now I don't like this design very much at this point, and I haven't sat down and redesigned it, but it's supposed to have a lever on here that pops this off the dog clutch so that it freewheels, so that when you wind this over it doesn't move anything else when the dog clutch is disengaged. And then basically you wind back the cut into your cut and put him back in place, and when you spin him over, we're in Broadway there, when you spin him over it feeds the tool. So that'd be very useful for cutting up for a shoulder. Maybe it may not be as useful as I think it is. We need to work that out. But for thread cutting this is very good because it'll do tapered plugs and things like that, which is kind of useful for the sort of work I do. Right? So it'd be nice to have this finished, and nice to have all this finished and metal finished and trimmed, and a guard on this end. Still want to put a guard on here of some sort, and a box to keep all these bits in so that you can take it off and put other accessories on or whatever you want to do, and keep it all out of the dust and stuff and nice, stop it getting scratched and rusty, and use it as you need to. You don't want to detach when thread cutting, that's exactly right. And this will have, I actually found this piece that I thought I was missing in here. That's like this slides on that goes in there. But this has got at this point, what it has is a ball detent, which locks on a shaft in the centre there. I know exactly where that shaft is too. How cool is that? What I have though is a stuck door. Oh, there it is. So I found this because I thought it was missing. And this locks in here. And this is altogether too complicated. I think there's a better way to do this. I just haven't found it yet. But that goes in there. We've got to undo that grub screw to fit it. And then this locks on that shaft. So that's sort of how that works. I don't like it. What would have been better is to make this gear hollow and have this whole thing poke through the hole with a spline drive, so, or a keyed drive, so that it pops out the back, and then your shaft here could operate on the pop out on the back, something like that. But it hasn't ever happened, and I don't know what's involved in redesigning this. I don't really want to make another one of these gearboxes because that was quite a job. So there you go. Want a guard on there. I don't know whether I just want a guard that swings on this banjo, and probably that's all it'll get. It's just something that attaches to the banjo, and when we swing this out of the way, it swings out of the way. When we swing it back, it swings back around past all the rest and doesn't quite go far enough to touch this. That might be a really good thing, is just something that bolts on here, but don't know how you do that. Probably should have left a couple of lugs here on the actual banjo for a screw. Didn't happen. Didn't think of it. Might have been a really good thing. Wasn't. So there you go. As far as making a solid guard that bolts on the body, I don't think that's going to happen. We can slip it off and have a look. Pull this off. I don't know if anyone's really interested in this stuff. I feel like I'm flogging a dead horse here. If you look around here, there's a lever here. This one. If we pull this up, push it down actually, right? That releases it. The same as the tailstock. It's exactly the same lever as the one on the tailstock. Whether you put it, it should be upright, but it's downways at the moment, and this just slides off the end. Right. Let's have a look over here. So this is it, and the problem is that if you put this gear over here and put another set of idlers in here, which is very useful if you're cutting, say, a coarser thread or a finer thread, or you want to actually put a smooth finish on anything, it's very nice to be able to use this other slot through here. But if you put this gear over there, that blocks this space here, where otherwise you would be able to put a stud here and here for a guard. So all this is on a cam, the same as basically the same as the tailstock, and it locks this T-nut up into the slot. There's probably room to put a stud here, maybe, right? It's a bit squashed, and there's probably room to put one here to hold a guard, or we make a guard that pivots on this bush here inside the banjo somehow, so that this locks on the guard and the guard locks on the shaft, or somehow slides round so that, what have I got I can demonstrate that with? There's a piece of plywood here. Right, with a guard, something like this with slots in it or whatever, a bit bigger than that. Right, so that it, when you move the banjo, it moves the guard. So if the banjo is right out here for a gear train, then the guard's right out here at the gear train. And if the banjo's right in here for a gear train, then the guard's right in here out of the way for the gear train. So that's my current thoughts about it, is that somehow we make it pivot on the same center as the rest of it. But I don't know how to do that without completely redesigning it. There you go. Anyway, covered everything. Covered the water tank. Covered some launch stuff and the atrocities that we're trying to work out. The other thing you could do is make a pivot point here so that this comes up over like this. And you lock it in place with one bolt somehow so that the guard just pivots on the bottom here. Right. And you can swing this down out of the way to adjust everything and put it back up. And you can put it up enough so it doesn't quite touch there, and you have an extra edge on it so that you don't get your fingers in out around the corner. So swing it up by you, right, where it needs to be, and it doesn't need to be much wider than that. And if you haven't got this big gear on it, you can swing it right over here. It covers everything still. So maybe that's the answer, is to probably put something in the back here with a bracket around it. It's getting a bit cumbersome. If anyone knows, if anyone really knows the answer, sketch it out for me and let me have a look. Because I'm open to ideas on it. That's where I'm at. Anyway, hindsight's 20/20, as Peter says. I'd like to get this blued up. My mate's all geared up, ready to blue this for me, but I'd like to get all the rest of the holes and things in it first. Get everything finished. And I'd also like to cut the rest of the gears at some point, but when that happens, I don't know. So I can spend a week on this comfortably. Not going to have a spare week this year. Just quietly. Not going to happen. Ain't going to be happening. Anyway, whatever is everyone else doing in the workshop? Some videos coming out. I believe we expect a video from Matt Phillip or from Tea and Biscuits about his club racer at some point in the future. Genuine Randy's posting stuff. Go and check his channel out. The Outback Shed's always posting good stuff. He actually puts effort into his videos, so you should go and check him out. Dan Shed's got video happening. Now, there's stuff happening at Dan Shed, right? I don't really at liberty to sort of say too much about that, but watch this space. I'm the same, Dan. I'd do more videos if I had extra time to take pictures and position cameras and stuff, and they edit it themselves. Stuff happening at Dan Shed. Like, there is a lot of stuff happening, and when it happens, we might have a video about that in particular, or even just a live stream concentrating on what's happening. But there are developments, and there might be a properly recognised club coming out of it, and some other developments as well, but we're not sure where that's headed yet, and it's too early to say. So watch this space if anyone's interested in throwing up some Dan's pretty much said it there now, so there's no secrets. That's it. No more secrets. He's let the cat out of the bag, if you're reading the comments. Anyway, there's opportunities for me there too, with a bit extra work and a little bit extra dedication, which I really like. And there's opportunities for the roller, and there's opportunities to have a bit of direction in my life, I guess. But anyway, we'll see what happens when it happens, or if it happens. That guy, Dan, he died, just so you know. Much the same way as prophesied and predicted. Anyway, just so let's just put that in as a warning. He didn't make it, is what happened. Or he made it, and that was the end of him, or something like that. I think he just didn't make it. Can't remember his name even, but he died. Apart from that, there's a crap load happening. Like really, there's a crap load happening. There's other engine parts that need work. There's saw bench that needs some work. We've been talking about with increasing severity in the last month, and that'll happen. There's steam engine bits, roller bits that need work. There are other steam machinery around the place that sort of need work too, that I guess have some sort of hand in. So there's plenty to do. If anyone wants to fund me so that I can have 3 days a week or 5 days a week off, so I can go and do that, I'd really much appreciate it. But at this point, I've just got to keep working. Anyway, we got through that for an hour, so that was an ordeal, and I appreciate you for all appreciate you all for bearing with me, and it's Christian Andrews. We've talked about him, so that's all right. That's Christian, by the way. Christian, while we're here, 2 bearings. That's as far as we got with that. Anyway, I think I'm out after all that. Just as Christian turns up. Take care, guys. Be kind to each other, and more soon. But yeah, don't stand too close to Christians. Your kids got nits. That's just a heads up. And be kind to each other. There'll be some more truck progress. There may not be any more launch progress. There will certainly be some steamroller progress by next week. That's where I'm at. So I'll go and do that. But at this point, I'm probably going to go straight to bed, or not far off it. So thanks, guys. I'm out. And Tuesday night, CAD live stream. You want to learn CAD? Come and we'll go through the basics together, and we'll do some projects and stuff. Explore and find out what everything does. Maybe if you retain some of it's cool. If you don't, well, there'll be next time. So that's cool if you're interested in learning Onshape, which is a great CAD program. Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock on this channel. Otherwise, Wednesday night, you can come and talk a lot of dribble and listen to a lot of hopes and dreams and thoughts and prayers and so forth, and whatever else keeps us going. And till next week, we'll see ya.